All right, picture this with me for a second. It's 2 a.m., the house is dead quiet, and then you hear a sickening crack of glass downstairs. Your heart leaps into your throat. You grab your phone, but it's dead, of course. You try to call the alarm company, but you're on hold, listening to elevator music while your adrenaline spikes. You've got maybe 30 seconds tops before whoever's down there decides which room is next. A terrifying thought, isn't it? Now, rewind 80 years. Londoners lived that nightmare every single night, but with even fewer resources. They had no alarms, no firearms, most of them anyway, and blackout curtains so thick that even a glimmer of streetlight was illegal. The enemy wasn't just some opportunistic burglar. It was the Luftwaffe, dropping incendiary bombs from the sky, and the very real threat of ground invasion. Yet somehow, these ordinary people didn't just survive. They thrived by turning their homes into fortresses. What did they have? Hand tools, junk from the garden, and a playbook of dirt-cheap, incredibly clever tricks that transformed ordinary houses into genuine obstacle courses. And here's the kicker. Turns out those same hacks still send modern burglars packing today. I'm going to walk you through the best of them, start to finish, because these aren't just historical curiosities. They're actionable strategies for your home right now. Number 1, reinforce the obvious before it becomes a problem. Let's kick things off with the absolute basics, because World War II proved one thing unequivocally. The first thing any raider, whether a looter or a soldier, targets is the latch side of a wooden door. It's the weakest point, a structural Achilles heel in most standard door installations. So we're talking about the part of the door frame where the strike plate is mounted, the thin strip of wood that holds your entire door in place. Fire brigade reports from London in 1940 are incredibly telling. They listed failed door frame as the entry point in a staggering 9 out of 10 incendiary burglaries. Think about that for a moment. It wasn't the lock failing, it was the wood around the lock. Civilians with characteristic British pragmatism responded by driving 3-inch decking screws, not your average drywall screws, but robust, thick-gauge screws designed for outdoor structures straight through the door trim and deep into the wall stud behind it. This wasn't just about adding a few screws, it was about tying the door frame directly into the structural integrity of the house. But they didn't stop there. They then added a second hidden layer, a scrap piece of 1x4 lumber, cut to sit perfectly flush with the inner jamb. This created a much wider, more robust surface area for the screws to bite into, distributing the force over a larger section of the frame. The genius part, the screw heads were countersunk, meaning they were drilled just below the surface and then painted over. To the casual glance, they looked decorative, maybe just part of the original trim. But the reality was that the frame suddenly possessed the sheer strength of a railroad tie. It was no longer just a thin strip of wood. It was an integral, unyielding part of the wall itself. Let's do a modern test, shall we? Grab a cordless Milwaukee impact gun, a powerful tool, no doubt, and pit it against a standard, unreinforced exterior door frame. On average, it takes about 42 seconds of concentrated effort to split that frame. That's not a lot of time, especially when you're caught off guard. Number 2, the window sandwich. We all know the sound, right? That shattering crash of glass. It's loud, it's jarring, and it's usually enough to wake the dead. But here's the thing. It's only loud if somebody's close enough to hear it. In the chaos of a bombing raid, or even just a quiet suburban night, a single pane of glass breaking might not be enough to trigger an alarm or alert a sleeping homeowner. In 1941, the British Ministry of Home Security, always thinking ahead, issued a surprisingly simple directive to householders. Glue newspaper to the inside pane of your windows using a flour and water paste. Then, tack a second layer of cardboard over the entire frame. This window sandwich wasn't designed to stop bullets or even an axe. Its primary purpose was twofold. First, it kept dangerous glass shards from flying inward during an explosion, turning a deadly projectile into a relatively harmless, albeit messy, damp paper pulp. Second, and perhaps more importantly for our purposes, it muffled the sound of the initial crack. In the cacophony of a bombing raid, that muffled sound could easily be drowned out. But even in peacetime, it makes a quiet break-in even quieter. Let's translate that ingenious wartime hack to today. For about $5, you can grab a roll of heavy-duty shipping tape and, let's be honest, we all have cut-up Amazon boxes lying around. Combine them, and you've got the same effective dampening. Apply the tape in a crisscross pattern across the pane, then tape a piece of sturdy cardboard over the entire window. It's cheap, it's easy, and it significantly reduces the audible signature of a breaking window, forcing an intruder to make more noise or spend more time. But what if you want an upgrade? A serious upgrade? Add a sheet of translucent polycarbonate. That's the tough, clear plastic used for riot shields and safety glasses. To the outside of your window, secure it with 1-inch roofing nails, making sure they're driven into the frame, not just the trim. This stuff isn't just strong, it flexes. When hit, it absorbs the impact, distorting but rarely shattering. It turns a quick smash-and-grab attempt into a frustrating, time-wasting wrestling match for the intruder. They'll hit it, expecting glass, and instead find themselves battling a resilient, unyielding barrier. Police reports from Manchester, UK, in 2022, found something fascinating. Houses that had implemented this DIY window sandwich saw a 56% drop in sneak-in attempts compared to identical homes directly across the street that relied only on standard glass. It's a clear demonstration that making a target harder, even with simple materials, makes it less appealing. Number 3, gravel, the cheapest alarm system. Okay, let's talk about something incredibly low-tech but astonishingly effective. Gravel. During World War II, Royal Air Force, RAF bases, crucial targets for enemy bombers, laid thousands of tons of pea gravel around their perimeters. Why? Because sentry dogs were scarce and trip flares, while effective, were visible to enemy aircraft, giving away positions. The crunch underfoot, that unmistakable crunch sound, carried up to 60 feet on a still night. This gave lookouts a precious 2-second heads up, enough time to rack a Bren gun, duck for cover, or simply prepare for an approaching threat. Now, swap those heavy military boots for silent sneakers, and the physics haven't changed one bit. A 4-foot ribbon of 1/4-inch gravel, laid along the inside of your fence line or directly beneath a ground floor window, still sounds like walking on breakfast cereal. That distinctive, unmistakable noise is your first line of auditory defense. The best part? It's weatherproof, kid-proof. They might play in it, but they won't break it, and requires exactly 0 batteries. No Wi-Fi signal needed, no subscription fees, no false alarms from passing cats. It just works. Think about it. The sound of footsteps on gravel is universally recognized as a sign of presence. An intruder, trying to be stealthy, will instantly realize they've been detected, or at least that their presence is being announced. This creates immediate psychological pressure. One Atlanta prepper, a true believer in practical, low-cost defense, caught a repeat prowler on his security camera just last year. The key? Not the video feed, but the audio spike from the gravel trail. It triggered his phone alert before the guy even touched the siding. The prowler, startled by the sudden crunching noise, hesitated, giving the homeowner crucial seconds to react. The gravel didn't physically stop him, but it robbed him of the element of surprise, which is often a burglar's most potent weapon. This isn't just about noise, it's about altering the intruder's perception of risk and detection, forcing them to reconsider their target. Number 4, thorn hedges, nature's barbed wire. When resources were stretched thin during the war, metal barricades and barbed wire were requisitioned for the war effort, diverted to critical military installations. So, what did resourceful suburban Brits do? They turned to nature. They planted blackthorn and hawthorn along likely approach routes to their homes and properties. These aren't your friendly garden roses. These species grow ankle-high thorns that are hard enough to punch straight through thick leather, let alone a pair of sneakers or trousers. Imagine trying to sprint through a dense thicket of these. A single row of these natural defenders slows a sprint to a painful limp. A double row? It forces any intruder to pick a slow, deliberate path, which by design funnels them straight into a neighbor's sightline, or directly under a window. The beauty of this tactic is its dual nature. It's both a physical barrier and a psychological deterrent. No one wants to deal with painful, potentially infected thorn punctures, especially in the dark. Modern nursery hybrids, like the appropriately named Crimson Cascade or various thorny plum varieties, offer the same defensive capabilities. Many of these can reach 6 feet tall in just 2 seasons, providing a formidable living wall, and they're perfectly legal in every state. The trick is to landscape them about 2 feet inside your property line. This ensures you don't run afoul of local height ordinances or encroach on public easements, and it still provides an effective barrier. Here's the bonus. In spring, these plants often bloom with beautiful, innocent-looking flowers, making them seem perfectly harmless to code enforcement or casual observers. But to a porch pirate or an opportunistic burglar, they are an absolute nightmare. They silently scream, "This property is not an easy target." A neighborhood watch in Denver reported a 70% decline in package theft the year after residents lined their entry walks and property boundaries with thorny plum bushes. It's a testament to the power of nature's defenses. Beautiful, sustainable, and incredibly effective at making your home a less attractive target. It's about creating target hardening in a way that blends seamlessly with your landscape. Number 5, the noise trap. Let's talk about simple, effective noise. During the war, children, ever resourceful, found ways to entertain themselves amidst the rubble and rationing. They repurposed discarded items into toys, and sometimes those toys had a serious secondary purpose. Take a metal coat hanger, snip it into 6-inch lengths, bend each length into a V shape. Now, slide 2 bottle caps onto each arm of the V, facing each other so they clack together. Hang this assembly from a piece of cotton twine across a dark hallway, perhaps at shin height or just inside a seldom-used door. Step into it, and those bottle caps clack together with a metallic rattle that sounds eerily like a broken bicycle chain or something far more sinister. British kids affectionately called them clackers, turning them into a simple toy. But the Home Guard, always looking for low-cost, effective alarms, use them as trip alarms. Today, you can update this classic design with even cheaper, more readily available materials. Swap the metal coat hanger for a disposable chopstick. Bamboo is surprisingly sturdy. And instead of bottle caps, use soda can tabs. They're lighter, create a sharper, more piercing sound, and are equally effective. The principle remains the same. Create a sudden, unexpected, and unsettling racket in a quiet, dark space. Put one at the top of your basement stairs, another just inside the back door, perhaps even strung across a less used side entrance. Most intruders, operating under the cover of darkness and silence, will freeze instantly at the first metallic snap. Their minds, already on high alert, will immediately assume they've triggered a sophisticated security system. That moment of hesitation, that sudden jolt of fear, is invaluable. It wakes you up with time to spare, time to assess the situation, time to call for help, or time to move to a safer location within your home. It's a psychological blow, turning their stealth advantage into a moment of vulnerability. This 37-cent clacker isn't just a noise, it's a silent alarm that screams, "You've been detected!" Number 6, sandbags. Without the sand, when air raids were a constant threat, wartime cellars weren't just for storage. They were vital shelters. And to make them truly safe, they were often stacked shoulder-high with Hessian sacks filled with 25 pounds of garden soil. These improvised fortifications weren't just for show. They stopped splinters from incendiary bombs, which could be deadly, and crucially, they could absorb pistol rounds if a firefight spilled indoors. What made them so effective? Soil. It's free, it's moldable, and perhaps most importantly, it's twice as dense as perlite, a common lightweight filler. A single layer, stacked 2 feet high, could soak up pistol rounds that would punch straight through drywall, leaving you exposed. Now let's bring this powerful low-tech defense into the 21st century. And you don't even need to dig up your garden. Modern version. Head to your local hardware store and pick up 40-pound tube-shaped contractor bags. These are designed for heavy-duty waste and are incredibly durable. Then, grab several bags of topsoil. Fill those contractor bags, lay them like giant bolsters along the inside of your exterior walls, especially near vulnerable points like ground floor windows or doors. You can stack them 2 or 3 high, creating a surprisingly robust barrier. Worried about aesthetics? Don't be. Throw a furniture skirt in front of them or arrange a row of books, and guests will never even notice your covert fortifications. These aren't just for defense against human threats either. In a tornado zone, these heavy bags double as ballast, helping to stabilize your home against high winds. In a riot zone, they give you a fighting chance if shots go wide, providing a vital layer of protection. They're a silent, hidden guardian, ready for whatever life throws at you, proving that sometimes the simplest materials offer the most profound protection. It's about creating a hardened room within your home without major construction. Number 7, the false larder. During the war, when troops or looters swept through houses looking for supplies, civilians quickly learned a clever counter-tactic: the false larder. They'd leave a cupboard, often one that was easily accessible and obvious, lightly stocked with low-value, unappealing items. Tinned herring, perhaps some stale tea, maybe a few hard biscuits. The idea was that raiders, being opportunists and often in a hurry, would grab these decoys, assume they'd found the main stash, and leave the real pantry, with its precious, carefully hoarded supplies, completely alone. It's a brilliant psychological trick based on human nature. And guess what? The trick still works like a charm today. Burglars are almost universally opportunists. They want to get in, grab something valuable, and get out fast, with minimal risk. Let's play into that. Build a cheap kitchen cabinet or designate an existing, unlocked one. Stock it with dollar store canned beans, instant noodles, maybe some off-brand cereal. Crucially, label it clearly. Emergency food. Make it look just convincing enough to be a plausible but not particularly exciting find. Now, where's your actual long-term stash? That's tucked away in a sturdy Rubbermaid tote, perhaps under the guest bed frame, covered with a wool blanket, or in the back of a closet behind some old clothes. The point is, it's not the first thing an intruder will see or bother with. The psychology here is powerful. 9 out of 10 burglars will open one cupboard, see the emergency food, conclude they've found what there is to find, and bounce. Why waste time searching for more when an easy score is right there? A prepper vlogger in Oregon, known for his practical security tests, actually tested this for 6 months. He left his decoy emergency food cupboard unlocked and stocked with cheap goods. Twice, he came home to find the dollar store items gone, but the valuable tote under his bed was never touched. It's a masterclass in misdirection, leveraging an intruder's impatience against them. Number 8. Community Fire Watch the Blitz wasn't just about individual home defense, it was about community resilience. Every rooftop in a neighborhood would have a staggered schedule of volunteers, often armed with nothing more than a shovel and a bucket of sand. If an incendiary bomb hit, the watcher would yell the address, neighbors would form a human chain, passing buckets of water or sand, and the blaze would be extinguished before it could become a roaring beacon for more bombers. It was a grassroots, hyper-local, and incredibly effective system of mutual aid. Translate that powerful concept to now, and you've got the ultimate human ring camera. Forget the monthly cloud storage fees and the glitchy apps. We're talking about a private group chat, WhatsApp, Signal, whatever works for your community, a shared Google Sheet of vacation dates, and a rotating lights out check at 11 p.m. One person, on a designated night, walks the block. They look for open garage doors, broken porch lights, suspicious vehicles, or anything out of the ordinary. They then text the owner directly. No gadgets, no sophisticated AI, no data privacy concerns, just eyeballs, local knowledge, and good old-fashioned goodwill. This isn't about vigilantism. It's about preventative observation and community cohesion. A 2021 study conducted in Akron, Ohio, highlighted this beautifully. Blocks that actively participated in a WhatsApp-based neighborhood watch program saw a 38% reduction in police calls for burglaries and suspicious activity compared to adjacent streets that relied solely on individual doorbell cameras. Why? Because a network of human eyes is infinitely more perceptive and proactive than a static camera. People notice patterns, changes, and anomalies in a way no algorithm can. They can intervene with a friendly knock or a quick text, often deterring problems before they escalate. It's a powerful reminder that sometimes the best security system isn't bought, it's built one neighbor at a time. Number 9, blackout discipline. During the darkest days of the Blitz, air raid precautions, ARP, wardens weren't just handing out instructions, they were enforcing strict blackout rules. This often meant distributing 60-watt bulbs painted dark blue, ensuring that houses couldn't be spotted from 10,000 feet by enemy aircraft. But this military necessity had a fascinating side effect, one that proved incredibly useful for individual home security. Nobody outside could tell who was home, who was awake, or even where the furniture sat. The house became an unreadable, uninviting void. You can replicate that same strategic ambiguity today. Swap out those blindingly bright porch LEDs for softer 25-watt amber bulbs. These provide just enough light for navigation but don't scream someone's home. Then put your living room lamps on dimmers, set to about 30%. From the sidewalk, your house suddenly looks quiet, maybe even empty. It certainly doesn't look like an active, inviting target. It projects an air of nothing to see here, making it far less appealing to a casual casing by a potential burglar. Pair that subtle lighting with blackout curtains, which you can easily sew from thrift store wool coats. Total cost, probably under $20. These curtains don't just block light, they block information. They remove the casual casing a burglar does at 9 p.m. while jogging past your house. They can't see your expensive TV, can't tell if you're watching it, can't gauge your routines. You strip them of the visual intelligence they rely on to pick easy targets. This isn't about hiding in the dark. It's about controlling what information your home gives away, making your property a mystery, and therefore a higher risk proposition for anyone with ill intent. Our grandparents didn't win the home front with fancy gadgets, did they? No, they won it with sheer discipline, with scrap lumber, and with the stubborn, deeply ingrained idea that a locked door is only as good as the frame it's screwed into. They understood that defense isn't about expensive technology. It's about layering simple, effective barriers. The threats change from bombs and invaders to burglars and natural disasters, but the fundamental physics and psychology of deterrence don't. A nail driven at an angle still beats a kick, gravel still crunches underfoot, and thorns still bite. So here's my final thought. Pick one tactic tonight. Just one. Implement it before the weekend is out. Whether it's reinforcing a door frame, laying a strip of gravel, or planting a thorny bush, take that step, and you'll sleep easier tonight, knowing you've borrowed the best insurance policy history ever wrote, one that never sends you a bill, but offers priceless peace of mind.